Hi, I'm Heather Howard, currently studying at the University of West Georgia. This is my audience. And today I'm going to talk about reparations and why we should be endorsing Elizabeth Warren and what she wants to do with the housing bill. So, reparations don't necessarily refer to the payment of families who were formerly enslaved people. Recently, I read an article that was referring to Elizabeth Warren and the housing bill that she wants to put into place. And when I looked at it, I saw that it would provide better lives for not only the people who deserve reparations, but also the people in the U.S. altogether. So getting behind the housing bill would decrease the rising housing and rental costs in the U.S. for those who deserve a payback from racial discriminations that they've been through. But in order for that to happen, we need to get behind the bill in order for Elizabeth Warren's points to be heard and supported through Congress. So I'm going to explain the importance of reparations and kind of what they are, the history behind them. So reparations are the making of amends for a wrong one has done by paying money to or otherwise helping those who have been wronged. In 2018, the support for reparations was found to be at around 26%, which is relatively low for something that's so significant. Back in 2016, a UN group urged the U.S. to address racism and racial discrimination and the reparations that should be made. A UN member actually said reparations for slavery can also mean creating programs to improve the social and political lives of people whose family members were slaves. Necessarily talking about these reparations from Elizabeth Warren, it doesn't necessarily go towards slavery, but it can, mainly because those who are racially discriminated against are African Americans. And according to Carlton Mark Waterhouse, he said reparations would not solve all our racial ills, but they do strike at their core. In the case of reparations, it, like I said, doesn't necessarily go for slavery. So Elizabeth Warren's form of reparations would be for everyone, basically, because it would lower housing rates and rental costs, which in turn would help the economy. And the American Housing and Economic Mobility Act would help build or refurbish about 3 million affordable housing units. It would create 1.5 million new jobs, which is according to Moody's analysis. In her CNN town hall, Warren said, in the same way that we think about healthcare as a basic human right, having a decent and safe place to live should be a human basic right. So not only African Americans are the reparations for, but she also wants to include Native Americans because of her history and how she has included that she is Native American and such. So she thinks that they should also be included rather than just African Americans. So the amount of jobs within the U.S. would increase, obviously, if the bill was put into place. But not only would that be a product of this bill being put in place, it would help Native Americans get their reparations as well because they don't get back what they should from what's happened to them in the past. And back in the day, reparations would have affected 44.5 million people, I think, in 2014. So if that's how many people it would have helped in 2014, I can only imagine the amount of people it would help now. One of the articles said that they would increase the entrepreneurship and the investment, but also help alleviate the poverty in the total population. Carlton Mark Waterhouse said, until we confront white racial dominance as a society, we will not eliminate racial inequality. So he's saying, once again, that white people are in charge of all these things, and they're the ones who get the affordable housing and all the jobs and whatnot. So in order to give back to the African American people who are being racially discriminated against, this bill should be put in place because it would help these people get jobs. It would help them afford houses. It would lower the cost, which essentially is good for all of the U.S. rather than just this group of people. So it would help the entirety population economic stance rather than just certain people. So, in conclusion, the whole reason I looked into this was because one night one of my friends would actually ask me about reparations, and I kind of knew what they were, but I wasn't completely sure. So, I looked into it more, which is when I found this article. And I decided to read more about Elizabeth Warren and her stance on things and why she believed that the reparations should happen. And I found that the affordable housing bill being put into effect is not only good, but it's actually imperative for the enhancement of our society. So now that you've been informed on what the reparations are, what Elizabeth Warren stands for, and like what she wants to do with them and why she should be supported, you should put a lot of consideration into the future of not only yourself, but the US as a whole for the economic standpoint of it. Reparations can improve the living costs and increase employment. So, how much do you want to be involved in our future? Thank you.